Hey, what's up, podcast? It's Jeff. Just want to jump in here. This is a special bonus episode of Teach Better Talk. This is actually going to be the audio recorded from a Facebook Live that our team is doing every single day, Monday through Friday, at 8 a.m. Eastern Time in our Facebook private group. You can get in that group at teachbettergroup.com or go on to Facebook and just search Teach Better Team. You'll see our page and then you'll see the group. Get in there. So here we go, a special bonus episode of Teach Better Talk pulled from one of our Facebook Live videos in our private group at teachbettergroup.com. Hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, it's Chad from the Teach Better team, and this is going to be our daily drop-in. This is where we just check in to see how you're doing, how you're feeling, and maybe talk through any issues, problems, or things that you're dealing with, because right now is a crazy time. So we are here to help you on the Teach Better team, and I am here today to help you in any way I possibly can. So I'll give you some people a couple minutes to start commenting and reaching out so we can answer some of your deepest questions right now. It's been a crazy couple weeks. There's a lot of schools that are shut down. Some are on spring break. Other teachers are just in planning mode, trying to redesign their entire curriculums. Like, this is a pivotal time in education. So we are just trying to be here every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. If you need anything, we are here. And Ray is here. So I always love seeing her shining face in the morning. That's always fantastic, or her shining comments, I should say. And we are excited to be here. So today I want to talk about something. Joe, great to see you. Please feel free to post your comments. And as Joe did, please parenthesize your name so I know who is actually saying it. You guys are pros because I'm seeing your names come through. So that's absolutely fantastic. Good morning, Randy. Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Lisa. Wow, we got a great group here this morning. Keep those comments coming. If you guys have specific questions, please post them. I'd love to talk about them. But today, I was thinking we could talk about, we've been talking a lot about the planning part of distance learning. We've been talking about the piece of getting ready, tools and ways you can look at distance learning. Tammy, great to see you. But today I really want to talk about um, managing a distance learning classroom. So it's not necessarily just about like planning the instruction and delivering the content and then letting it go, right? There's still this entire part of managing your classroom and your assignments and your grading and your feedback day to day. So we also have Andrea, Brianna, and Tammy dropping in to say good morning. Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are having a great morning so far. Um, I'm excited to be here with you guys. So please keep on posting those comments and any questions you might have. But I really want to talk about sort of managing your daily schedule, managing your students' needs. So something that we always do, something that we always teach and coach on when we talk about the grid method is triage. And what triage is, as many of you probably know, is when hospitals are in an emergency, like some might be right now, they go into something called triage where they actually help the neediest patients first, and then they give everyone a scale, and that way they're helping the people that need it most first, and then they're tearing down that help to help people that maybe just have minor injuries or maybe sprained a ankle or something versus head trauma or something like that. Well, we actually coach on the same thing with grid method classrooms, and that is we show teachers how to use things like cups or digital trackers to help identify, what their students need. And we usually do this with a simple color system, right? So if a student's green, they don't need any help, but you can check on them. If a student has a yellow color on their cup or their digital version of doing this, they might have a question, but they can keep on learning. And then if they go red, that means they cannot continue learning. You have to address them right now, or no additional learning is going to occur. So I actually have seen a lot of teachers continue using this in their digital classroom. And the way a lot of them do it is they will take a Google Sheet, and this is how they progress monitor in their class. So if you think about it, on this side of the Google Sheet, you would have all your student names. And then along the top of the Google Sheet, you could put your assignments or the different tasks that your students have to do, right? And then as they finish them, you can actually change the color of the boxes next to the student. And you can share this with students so that as they finish things, they just change the color. But if they need help on one of those things, they can change it to yellow, they can change it to red, or maybe you can even add other colors. Like orange could mean I've turned something in that you need to check, but maybe they, change the color to the next assignment that they've started working on and they're just waiting for feedback. So this would be a really easy way to set up, your triage system for your distance learning classroom. Now, the cool thing about this is if you're already running the good method or already using something similar, your students are already acclimated to this. But I could also see this being used by a teacher who just needs to stay organized. One of the hardest things, in my opinion, about distance learning is just managing your time as a teacher, because now you can't simply answer a question that a student has in real time unless you're in the middle of a Zoom meeting. So you essentially have to have, three types of communications. There's sort of like the weekly announcement communication that everybody gets, right? There's maybe the scheduled Zoom calls you have. So those might be some general general questions, or maybe you're answering a small group of students. And then there's like the one-on-one feedback that you might be needing with students. So these are three sort of different levels of help. One is really top level, one is sort of maybe small group or whole group level, maybe a live check-in. And then you're going to have those students that are sitting there at, 8 p.m. because they didn't get a chance to work because of whatever's going on at home. And now all of a sudden they need feedback on an assignment. Now, I'm not saying you have to work 24 hours, but we need a way to organize all this so that we can address what students need and when they need it. So Tammy just said that she's submitting an assignment sheet in Seesaw, and then they submit it with checks next to the assignment that they do. So that's absolutely a fantastic idea. Seesaw is a great, great, great tool. I know Ray Hewitt uses it as well for her goal setting and when she's in it live in her classroom. We've had a lot of teachers have a lot of success with that. And then Andrea, she actually is using the Google Sheet idea. So Andrea says, yep, that's what I do. They change their names to yellow or red if they need help on the Google Sheet on the bottom of the sheet, and they change their color to green when they've finished a level or, the box that they're working on. Orange is when they are currently on the level. So that's absolutely fantastic. And thank you for sharing that, Andrea. So a lot of great comments here. I'm trying to go through them for you. So Tammy's also doing the Zoom meetings and holding office hours. And then she did a guided writing session with the students during Zoom. So I absolutely love. First of all, I think Zoom is probably pretty happy right now because I've literally seen it being used over kind of Google Hangouts. I think you could use Google Hangouts as well. Adam, it's great to see you. But I think Zoom offers some more flexibility in terms of seeing your entire class. I think they're a little bit more ahead of the curve. So I think Zoom's absolutely a great resource. But this is sort of what I was talking about, right? So you're going to be looking at different types of support. There's the whole group support or small group support you can do with like a Zoom meeting or live office hours. There's the one-on-one support you can provide via feedback on a Google Doc or leaving comments on their papers or submitting your individual grades and feedback and ability for students to help. And as Ray just sent me a friendly reminder, all of these things can also be found in our Supporting a Virtual Learning brand new free course by the amazing Ray Hewitt herself. So for no other reason, if you would like to just hear Ray's beautifully awesome voice, you would be able to go take this course absolutely free at teachbetteracademy.com. And there's some amazing tips. It's going to talk you through just setting up your virtual classroom, some general things to talk about, but it's also going to show you a ton of resources. I can tell you right now, the Teach Better team has been spending the last week and a half, 2 weeks since all this craziness has happened, just like re-gearing all of our content and all of our support and all of our resources towards helping you make this transition, because this is not easy. So that's absolutely funny. On a side note, I just want to comment as well. It's been really funny. Like, there have been a lot of YouTube videos being released right now where there's funny background things happening in the Zoom meeting or the conference call, that are happening with companies. And I think, after all this craziness is over, I think that there is going to be a huge plethora of just funny things that happen on Zoom or Google Hangout calls or Skype sessions that we're going to get to then just kind of look back on and hopefully smile a little bit about. Because I know this is crazy, but we have to see the light, in this situation. So a lot of great tools happening right now. Like I said, we have Andrea, who's using the Google Sheet right there, and Tammy is using Zoom as well as Seesaw to talk to students and help guide her students as they need help. So a lot of amazing ideas. So let's get back to kind of you organizing yourself as an educator. So that's sort of like the tools that we're using and the how. But when you sit down on a daily basis and go through this, it can be really, really overwhelming in a digital environment, because now what was once a quick answer to a question from a raised hand is a whole task, an email, a comment, or feedback you have to provide. I hope that makes sense. So now, Mark Heller, it's great to see you. He's a fantastic principal I work with in Illinois. So in a digital environment, every single piece of feedback you provide that's not live on a Zoom meeting or a Skype session or a video chat needs to be a task that you need to complete. So you need to organize those tasks in a way that are conducive to, first of all, your sanity, so you can stay, sane and not have like 400 to-dos. But you also have to be able to organize those things. And that's really where the triage piece, I think, can come in. If you can start your day kind of looking at your updated triage and how you are looking at that, it can be a really great way to kind of set up your first hour or so of your teaching day. So now you can look and go, okay, I'm going to address the highest need first. I'm going to send my comments and my feedback for those students that make graded, and then I'm going to answer some of like the more logistical questions. So this is not only a great way for students to know, okay, I showed my teacher that I need this type of help, but it's also a great way for teachers and students to increase that interaction and be able to feel that they're being heard in the process. So those are all really, really, really important things. So I'm going to open it up just for a second. I think we have a decent number of people kind of participating right now. So what are some of the thoughts you guys have on either how you address student needs or how do you organize your day to help students using any sort of tiering or support or triage in your classroom? So I'd love to hear that in the comments. Please make sure you put your names so I can give you a shout out as we talk through this, because this will also be going out on our Teach Better Talk podcast. So you can have your name in lights and you can share your awesomeness with the world. Absolutely. So I'm going to give you guys a minute. So I just love this. So Tammy's just killing it today. Okay. And her schedule is 8 to 9 planning, which, by the way, amazing idea. Giving yourself that that structured planning time to start your day and set up your day is absolutely amazing. That's a great idea. I highly recommend it. I myself take 20, 30, 40 minutes in the morning to kind of set my day up where I'm not focused on getting anything done, but I'm focused on what does my day look like. So that's awesome. And then story time with Miss Tammy, which is absolutely fantastic, is 10 to 11. office hours 11 to 11:40, small group 12 to 12:40, and 1 to 2. Love the small groups, Tammy. You are just like killing this. I love it. And then there's another set of office hours. There's another set of office hours. Um, Sorry, my computer. There's another set of office hours there at the end of her schedule as well. So that's absolutely awesome, Tammy. Thank you so much for sharing that. I truly appreciate you being able to share your schedule like that. So what other schedules do you guys have? Like, how are you feeling um, about that? I forgot this part. Tammy also has a end of the day team meeting from 2 to 2:30. Um, so that's absolutely awesome. Where you schedule time to continue to talk to your colleagues. We've been talking a lot about interacting with students, but not a ton about interacting with colleagues. That's just as important because a lot of times those are really great ways to kind of see how they're doing, check in, share ideas, and things like that. So Randy um, says that she posts live session times every morning, and then she checks her Google Sheet and her Flipgrid question grid, and then she checks Seesaw for questions, and then she goes through assignments. So actually, Randy's done a great job in this instance of sort of triaging the ways her students reach out, and then prioritized how that occurs. So at first, she is checking her Google Sheet, which is like the most live updated document, I'm assuming. Then she's sort of checking the archived or the submitted Flipgrid questions, right? And then she's checking Seesaw for questions, and then going through her turned in assignments and providing feedback. That's absolutely awesome. And then here's Adam. Adam had a Google Meet yesterday with most of his students, and he started virtual office hours from 9 to 11 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is drop-in time for questions or just to talk, or families know they can connect or ask questions. So that is absolutely awesome. Man, you guys are just bringing it today. I love all the great comments. Teresa, um, Teresa says that it helps for she's making student mentors that can look at levels to see who may need help and group students based on what levels they are on, which is awesome. Uh, that's amazing. And then a lot of people are having weekly faculty meetings for check-ins and critical information. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the amazing comments. You guys are participating just amazingly. All you guys had your coffee this morning. We are having some amazing discussions, and it feels like a lot of you are really having some great systems and schedules and pieces and parts put into place. And I just want to take just a minute. I just want to take a minute and give every single person that's watching or will be watching this later some huge props right now. And I said this in a live video earlier this week, but we have literally been asked as educators to Apollo 13 an entire school experience that we weren't planning on having to provide our students this year within basically a weekend. Depending on the school you're in, you could have been asked over a single night to go, hey, figure out your online curriculum. I hope that wasn't the case, but it might be. And if I'm being completely honest, that's a ridiculous ask. But I have talked with so many amazing teachers that are in this chat right now who are just rising to the challenge. And one of the ways that the most successful teachers are doing that are keeping what they can from their classroom. For example, if you are already running a self-paced mastery grid method classroom, transitioning that to an online learning platform is not going to be the craziest transition in the world. And I've had people say, I'm so glad that I was running the grid method because not a lot of things had to change. My students already knew where to get their assignments, how to turn them in, and how to interact. The only thing that needed to change was how I interact and provide feedback. So I love hearing things like that. But I love the fact that I'm hearing through all of these comments, a lot of teachers just focus on structure, routine, and systems. So guess what, folks? it is the exact same thing that you should focus on in your real classroom. So, Adam setting up office hours twice a week and having those standing times um, helps give students security. So if a parent has a question or a student has a question, they go, you know what, I'm going to talk to my teacher on tomorrow or on Thursday or whatever that is for the student. So setting up um, those pieces and parts are hugely important. So Adam said that they had 48 to 72 hours to switch, and now they're pushing remote learning even further. Um, Amanda says, my kids were so excited to do grid from home that it was also so nice being able to send it home and know that they were going to be learning. So this was actually a huge thing that I heard a lot, and a lot of teachers got really scared when they were like, what am I going to do if my kids aren't in the classroom? And then there was this other faction of these teachers that I work with and that the Teach Better team works with that have been running the grid method, have it running in their classroom, and are feeling good, like Amanda. And she says her kids were so excited because nothing changed for them other than the fact of the physical location that the learning was happening. They knew how to access the materials. And I want you to think about the security of that for a minute. If you know that you're still delivering high quality instruction, students are still benefiting and learning and growing, and you're still moving the mark, like that's huge. Like Adam said, with 48 to 72 hours notice, like that's amazing, everyone. Like we are awesome for that. You are awesome for that. And that's absolutely amazing. So once again, to get back to what on the track that I was saying is, Joe says he has office hours from 9:30 to 11:30. Once again, it's that same piece of just looking for that consistency. So whatever you want to do with your students to support them, make sure you're doing it consistently. If you tell them to reach out via Class Dojo or Remind 101, or like you have parents contacting you, make sure you're consistently checking those things. What you don't want to do is set up triage or set up channels of communication that then get ignored, or some get looked at and some don't. So make sure that how you're looking at those channels also gets um, thought of. So Joe, if he's having office hours from 9:30 to 11, like that, his students know every single morning. And guess what? These are kind of like our office hours. So this is, the Teach Better Team's office hours every morning at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. Eastern. Um, you can come here, you can talk, you can maybe get some help, ask some questions, or just brag about how awesome you're doing, and then that can start your day. So Joe, I appreciate you stopping in before your office hours, because that's absolutely awesome. So this is a really common problem that could be happening if you weren't using an LMS, a learning management system, in your classroom already, or learning management software, sorry. And this is from Joe. He said most of the issues that he's seeing in his classroom are that students don't know how to use our LMS Schoology. I'm already thinking next year into making a grid. Well, that's awesome, but this is a huge challenge, right? So students are learning how to use an LMS that they may or may not have used before. So if you're a teacher or in a district that goes, you're online learning now, here's a new software we purchased, go. Or it's a software that maybe the district had access to, but you haven't been trained on it yet. Now you're learning and the student's learning at the same time. So one thing, Joe, I'm going to tell you right now, be patient. Take a breath, stop, and relax. Something I echoed a couple of days ago, one of my live videos, like, this does not have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. The biggest thing is we're giving our kids a safe, consistent environment to continue learning, and hopefully reducing the amount of gaps that are going to be occurring due to this crazy time that we're in. I need every single person watching this to be absolutely okay with their instruction or their LMS or their activities not being perfect. And I'm going to tell you, if you want them to be a little better, we're here to help you. But I also don't want you stressing if they're not perfect. I don't want you freaking out that that lesson isn't beautifully working like the way you thought it was. Or maybe you have to scrap a lesson. So Joe, if there's a new feature on Schoology that's just not working, maybe you toss it out and go, hey everyone, forget that. Just do this quicker thing that I know you can do instead. So it's absolutely okay to be willing to kind of throw out the playbook, redesign, which is one of the cool things about a digital environment. You can easily delete a post, fix something that's not working. But Joe's concern about students being able to use the LMS, especially if they haven't been consistently using it throughout the year, is a valid one. So the biggest tip I can give you is, first and foremost, like, be redundant and ridiculously repetitive about helping students through some of those pieces. So maybe you put like reminder videos or tutorial videos. Most LMSs like Schoology have tutorial videos as well. But when you submit an assignment, maybe record yourself on how to do that if that's what your students are having problems with. So you can use Screencastify, you can use Screencast-O-Matic, you can use the native QuickTime if you have a Mac or an iPad or anything like that. Record yourself doing whatever you need your students to do in the LMS, and then link that video on the post. And then you can actually talk your students through whatever those LMS pieces are. We have to provide those scaffolds. We have to provide those scaffolds. So I got some more amazing comments. So Tammy, once again, rocking it out right now. She said, I am doing a doodle and sketch this Friday on Zoom. And Carrie Bauckham from Twitter is hosting it. Wow, that's awesome. So now we're bringing in, additional experts and people from Twitter and things like that. I love that you're just engaging your students with the outside world. That's absolutely amazing. And so here's something I want to just pause and just reflect on. And that is, Amanda said, give yourself grace. Give yourself and your administrators grace. I've been talking to teachers and administrators for the last 6 days when they're able to, because there's a lot going on. And right now, there's a lot of things up in the air. Not a lot of answers, but a lot of new problems, a lot of new information, and it's literally changing minute by minute. And Amanda, I think you echoed this purposefully, and you echoed this amazingly, and that is, give yourself some grace. Be willing to be okay with it not being perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. It doesn't have to be amazing right now. We'll get you to amazing. We'll help you get there. But right now, in this very moment in time, we are still figuring this out. So it doesn't have to be this amazing, beautiful representation of everything e-learning or distance learning is supposed to be. It's okay. It's going to be a process. When teachers first start implementing the grid method, I tell them, plan on your first grid not going so great. Plan on your first grid maybe not being perfect. Plan on those mistakes. Mentally and emotionally prepare for the fact that those things might not be perfect. And that's absolutely, absolutely okay. So here's something that Adam, thank you so much for participating so much. Tammy, you've been doing amazing. Joe, so many, Andrea, Ray, all of you people, everyone is doing an amazing job participating. And this has been an amazing chat so far. I'm going to be here as long as you need me to be here. So let's just keep hanging out. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee because this is going just so great. So Adam said that teachers are meeting today to discuss how to provide information to parents looking for consistency among the faculty. Some teachers send daily emails, while I send a review of the week and intro to the week. Adam, I love the weekly. We actually, I just designed a weekly planning template because I truly, truly think that students don't need a laundry list of things from every class, right? A whole week guide for every class, and this is what you need to get done by the end of the class. And that is absolutely, absolutely okay. I also think if you can meet with your staff and your colleagues on the 6th grade team or the 8th grade team or the 12th grade team or the third grade team, whatever team you're on, or in your departments, and go, how are we communicating? Because here's another thing you really want to avoid with distance learning. You don't want every single teacher sending home a big, thick packet of stuff to do. And now everyone is just completely overwhelmed. The teachers are overwhelmed with grading all this stuff. The parents are overwhelmed with how much work the students have to do. This is not a time to think more is better, because more is not necessarily ever better. It just means it's more tedious and there's more practice. So right now is the perfect time for you to really evaluate, what are you having your students do? What are the bigger concepts? What are the bigger things you can have your students doing that are going to help them look at the big picture, still continue to grow, but not necessarily are like tedious, like 57, 100 math problems. Maybe it's one or two word problems that are pretty in depth, where they have to think and do maybe some multiple steps. And maybe that takes 2 days, and that's okay, because it's a higher level task, you know? And think of less is more in this situation, I think. And it's quality, 1,000% quality over quantity with distance learning. We have to make sure we're providing quality activities and instruction, not worksheeting our students to death. This is not a time when we need to fill up the calendar. We do not need to fill up a week's worth of work. That's not helping anyone do anything. We need to provide our students with manageable expectations, clear expectations on work that is high quality, right? And engaging for them to do outside of the classroom. That doesn't mean everything has to be this beautiful show of what have you, but getting together with your staff, getting together with your administration, and then going, hey, what is everybody doing? Let's make sure we're on the same page. So maybe you send home a single sheet of paper with everything a student needs to do on it. Maybe you create a hyperlinked Google Doc, right? And it has, one row for each class for what your students are required to do for that week. That's a much more manageable thing for a parent, for an administrator to look at, for a student to look at, for everyone, all the stakeholders involved to look at, instead of, here's the packet from math, here's the packet from science, here's the packet from language arts, or here's the 14 posts for the week for what have you. Take a step back, evaluate these things. That way you can go through them. So Randy says that she has run a grid in the classroom all year from home, but her students seem to want more guidance on pacing, and self-pacing varies more widely at home. So Randy, that is absolutely something that you should be seeing right now. So you're having students that maybe are used to getting that real quick help, now having to wait. They're not having to read directions. You don't have that whole class introductory time. Or things like that. Randy, one thing you can do in this scenario, if there is, let's say some students are getting stuck on 1C, if you're having those Zoom meetings or those check-in meetings or those small group meetings, you can have purposeful meetings where you record them and go, here's a meeting that we're going to go over 1B on the grid. And maybe you do a couple examples from 1B, you review 1B and what it covers, and then you can keep that up on your Google and then link it to 1B, as your post, or link it however you're communicating that to students. So now they're able to get that one-on-one help, even if it's not right there live for the student. And then here, Joe says that this week he's given assignments on Monday, but they're due Wednesday. And he's taking any late work at all because students always have access to the internet. Or maybe they're watching their siblings. Oh, Joe, thank you for bringing this up. I want everyone to just pause here for a minute and think about your students' home situation. One thing that we have when students are in our classroom is control over their environment. We can control that it's safe, that it's quiet, that it's productive, that it's managed, that no one's bothering them, right? We can't control that anymore. So maybe instead of working in the morning, the student has to work from 4 to 6 or 4 to 7 at night on the assignments that you give them, because of the fact that they're watching their sisters or their brothers because their parents have an essential job that they have to go to if everything's not closed down in your state. Or maybe they have to go to work or work from home so that they have to play with their brothers and sisters because their parents have to, do things like morning drop-ins and check-ins or video calls and things like that. You can no longer control those factors. So be flexible. There is no reason in that I can ever imagine in a digital learning space, and with an emergency and like an developing story like the one that we're facing, where you would go, "Oops, it was due on Tuesday. Guess you're getting an F in my class now." Like that does simply does not make sense to me. I don't think it ever did, honestly. But you have to be flexible with students. And Joe, I think you're doing a great job giving that flexibility for students. So Randy had said, our students need a little bit more guidance. So I want to be very clear about something. Guidance on when students should be turning things in and setting expectations that are clear is a great thing. Being super rigid and inflexible with those deadlines is not a good thing. So having those things for structure so students can know when and what is expected of them is absolutely a great thing. But being super rigid and going, oops, sorry, you didn't turn it in, so now you get your zero, move on. Like that's not necessarily conducive to, a successful distance learning environment. So provide the structure, provide the expectations, but be flexible, and then provide support if students aren't meeting those expectations. And Randy, thanks again for participating, says that she's been doing live lessons in the evening 2 to 3 times a week to help students like this. So I'm going to give a round of applause for Randy because she has just given us, a lot of you guys have shared your daily schedules, and I'm betting that she's probably working all morning and then also doing live lessons at night. So a lot of people might think, hey, teachers must be happy. They're getting the day off. But let's be honest, most teachers right now, because they're communicating digitally, are working more consistently throughout a 12-hour span than they ever were when they were normally working, 9 or 8 or 7 to 2 or 3 p.m. Now they're working from, 8 or 9 all the way to, 4, 5, 6, 7 at night. And it's because they're having to do this digitally. They can't condense all of their students' free time and ability to communicate into one specific area. And Andrea says, at this point, grades don't matter to me. I just want them to be exposed to the content and keep learning. So this is a really important thing too. Depending on the state you're in, some states, due to equity issues, are not even allowing work to be graded. So we can provide access to content and material, but maybe we don't care about the grade. Maybe it's just about giving that access and that structure. Someone said, "Time off. What is that?" Um, that's really funny. Um, and then one teacher said, "I agree 100% that we are told that we could grade material, but we could not hold it against any child for not doing it." So this echoes what I was just talking about, where you can provide the structure, the support, and the access, right? But we can't hold it against students if they don't have access to internet, that they didn't do assignments. So this is where this comes from, and this is going to probably be in the media as schools and districts and state education organizations continue this conversation. And one thing I want you to remember is that like equity is really important here. So we can't say only 80% of students can actually successfully go to school now. And then the 20% that can't, just don't get to progress or just don't get to learn. Like that's not fair to those 20% of students. And I don't want to talk about fair, I want to talk about equitability. So I used the wrong term there. I want to be very clear about that. But education has got to be equitable across all socioeconomic and all demographics and all situations. It's literally the law that it is the case. So if you're getting frustrated with these organizations or these state departments saying, hey, in the city of Chicago or Philadelphia, it is not equitable to make all our students learn. So we're going to have to figure something else out because they don't all have access. Like that's an okay decision, and we have to deal with that decision. I sort of support what's behind that. And so another contributor said, we also can't hold students accountable for learning in an environment outside of our control, which is 100% correct. Okay. So something I want to be very, very clear about is we are talking a lot about making your online or distance learning instruction better, easier to manage. But at the end of the day, there are things more than there ever have been, because there have always been things. There are things more than there ever have been that are out of your control. And that is okay. It is what it is at this point. And we need to find the balance. So, Alex, I love that you're in here. I love hearing your insight, Alex Valenchek. And he says, we need to find a balance. Burning the candle at both ends will not help us or our students. So I'm going to stop and pause, and I want everyone to kind of stop here for a minute. Finding that balance is absolutely important. I need you as a teacher to be setting up structures and systems to take care of yourself. I need you as an administrator to be setting up structures and systems to take care of yourself. This is, and I talked about this a little bit ago on a live video, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So if we sit here for the next 2 weeks and we sprint, we try to throw everything at the wall and make everything perfect, and we set up these systems that are really stressful and hard to manage because we're working from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every single night in our classroom, we will burn out and we will not be able to sustain that. And the truth is, we don't know how long this is going to last. So, Alex, you are spot on. You cannot pour from an empty vessel, right? There was one of my favorite quotes was from a college teacher candidate, and he said, "If Superman doesn't take care of Clark Kent, then then Superman can't exist." And I really loved this. I don't know if the student knew how deep they were going right there, but I want you to think about this. If Clark Kent as a human can't exist, then Superman's identity is compromised. So if he doesn't take care of the human non-super part of himself or self-care, Superman can't be Superman because now he's getting bombarded all the time. People won't leave him alone because his identity has been, overcome. I know I'm getting a little nerdy here, and I hope you guys are okay with that. But you need to find the balance. Okay. You need to make sure that you're okay and you're not burning the candle at both ends. Set some limitations. Take some time for you. Take some time for your family. So make sure you're setting also time. We've been talking a lot about setting up time for your students to reach out to you. Make sure you're stepping back and setting up a time for you to take care of yourself, or where you're not responding to students. I know this sounds really, really weird because we normally talk about how do we be better? How do we be better? How do we improve our students? But by you taking care of yourself, you're improving yourself, right? If you take, if you say, I'm not responding to any students after 6 p.m., because that's me time. Or I'm not responding to emails or communication until 9 a.m. every morning. And maybe with those brackets of time, maybe you're doing a workout. Maybe you're getting some exercise. Maybe you're reading a book. Maybe you're just spending time with family. Maybe you're just spending some time with your kids. Maybe you're just spending some time with your friends digitally, hopefully, social distancing. And Andrea says, it's so true. We need to step back. We can't do it all. And the truth is, even if we can do it all, we shouldn't do it all the time. Because if we do it all the time, we will not be able to do it for very long. So here's my quandary here is if we put all these resources and we set up all these things and it's really difficult to manage, and you're working 12-hour days digitally managing all this stuff while trying to take care of your family because everyone's stuck at home, and you're trying to deal with childcare, and your significant other has a job that they maybe have to go to or work at, and now you have to split time with them. I know me personally, my wife and I are both working at home right now. So we're switching on and off with the kids because when she has a call for her office, I have to, do what I need to do. And then when and she needs time to do what she needs to do for her job, but we still have a childcare issue, and Ohio is basically shut down now. So we don't have childcare. So we're switching on and off, trying to help each other. So we have to be flexible. If you're teaching high school, this is a great tip. This Facebook user said, I teach high school and mornings are the time because my students are still sleeping. So find that time, set those boundaries and stick to them. But if you set those boundaries, make sure that's clearly communicated to your students. What you want to do is, boundaries are okay, but they have to be known, right? If you just tell yourself, you know what, I got to take care of myself, I'm stopping communicating at 6 p.m., but you haven't articulated that to parents, students, or anyone else, it becomes really, really difficult. So maybe even think about, hey, I will not be responding to communication, emails, or texts until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Make a post on your learning management system that actually notifies your students. That way, they know that if they turn something in, it's not going to get graded. If they sent you a text, it might not get responded to, and that's okay. Now, right now, as we transition, I'm okay if you're flexible here. We're still transitioning. But if this goes on 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, I really need every single person to think about, what are those limits? How can you monitor that? How can you take care of yourself? Wow. We are going on 45 minutes right now, and that is absolutely fantastic. I've loved all of the comments from everybody. I think we've got some great tips going on here, but I don't want to take up too much of your time because I'm actually getting into some of the schedules that you guys talked about right now. So make sure you're taking care of yourself, setting up systems and routines, setting up channels of communication, and thinking through those triage pieces and parts so you can touch base with your students in the most effective way possible. Take care of yourself. I've truly enjoyed dropping in with you guys this morning. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out to me at Chad Ostrowski on Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else, or at the Teach Better team, or you can email me at chad@teachbetter.com. Have an amazing day. Stay awesome. We're going to get through this. We are with you.